For thousands of cycles, the Orion Coalition ruled the stars, conquering worlds with ease and recording victories as routine events. Their historians wrote that no species had ever resisted for more than a single campaign. Then their long-range scanners detected Earth, a blue world marked as a minor death world with unstable climate and primitive technology. The coalition laughed, for Deathworlders always broke quickly or destroyed themselves. Human history was ignored, reduced to a footnote describing endless wars, internal conflict, and irrational emotion. What the coalition failed to understand was that human conflict was not weakness, but training. Humans had fought predators, famine, plagues, and each other, and still endured. When the first coalition fleet arrived in the Sol system, they expected surrender within hours. Instead, they intercepted a human transmission that simply said, "We remember every war we ever survived." The invasion began with orbital strikes on major cities, believing Terra would force compliance. What followed shocked the observers hidden beyond the system. Human military networks fragmented on purpose, decentralizing command to prevent total collapse. Old weapons were pulled from museums, new ones were built in underground factories. Civilians evacuated, while soldiers prepared not to win quickly, but to make the enemy pay for every meter of space. The first ground battle ended with alien forces retreating in confusion. For the first time in recorded galactic history, an invasion timetable failed on day one. The coalition sent reinforcements, confused but still confident in superior numbers and technology. They did not understand the human obsession with history. Every unit carried stories of ancient battles, of last stands and impossible victories. Commanders quoted generals who had been dead for centuries. Human soldiers fought with the belief that they were not alone, but standing beside ghosts of their past. In the ruins of a coastal city, alien shock troops advanced with energy weapons blazing. Human defenders waited silently, remembering sieges that had lasted years. When the ambush was triggered, the street became a trap of fire, rubble, and resolve. Coalition armor proved strong, but human tactics were relentless, adaptive, and personal. If a weapon failed, humans switched methods. If a plan collapsed, another formed instantly. Captured alien recordings revealed something disturbing. Human heart rates spiked not with panic, but with focus. Pain did not stop them, loss did not slow them. Each fallen human hardened the survivors. The aliens began to whisper a new term into their reports. Persistent adversary beyond predicted limits. What they truly meant was that humans refused to forget why they were fighting. After months of defense, humanity changed strategy. The coalition expected resistance to fade, but instead saw human fleets pushing outward. Using salvaged alien technology fused with crude but effective human engineering. Human ships did not look elegant, they looked angry. Hull scars were left unrepaired as warnings. The Battle of the Broken Ring became the turning point. An alien stronghold, meant to secure the system, was assaulted directly. Human commanders studied ancient naval warfare and adapted it to space. They feigned retreat, lured the coalition fleet into a kill zone, then closed in from all sides. Boarding actions followed, something the aliens believed too primitive to attempt. Humans fought hand-to-hand in zero gravity, driven by adrenaline and fury. Alien soldiers, trained for clean and distant combat, panicked in the chaos. When the stronghold fell, humans broadcast its destruction across open channels, along with a message translated into dozens of alien languages. This is what happens when you wake our history. For the first time, coalition worlds felt fear. The coalition convened an emergency council. Never before had a targeted species counter invaded. Analysts searched for psychological weaknesses to exploit. They found none that mattered. Human fear existed, but it was balanced by stubborn hope and shared anger. Attempts at terror, bombing failed to break morale. Attempts at negotiation collapsed when humans demanded unconditional withdrawal. The myth of coalition invincibility cracked across the galaxy. Rebellions flared in systems once ruled by fear alone. Many cited Earth as proof that resistance was possible. On the battlefield, alien commanders began issuing a new directive. Avoid close engagement with humans. It was too late. Human forces had learned alien supply routes, command habits, and battlefield psychology. They struck where it hurt most: logistics, communication, and pride. Each victory was recorded, not just as strategy, but as story. Humans ensured the galaxy would remember who broke the empire. The war ended not with total destruction, but with retreat. The coalition signed accords recognizing Earth as a sovereign power. Humanity did not celebrate quietly. They built monuments not only to their dead, but to the wars that shaped them. Alien historians rewrote their archives, adding an entire section to human history. It was titled "The Species That Turned Survival into Doctrine." From that day forward, invasion fleets bypassed the Sol system. New species were warned during first contact briefings. Do not threaten the humans. They remember everything. The battle that made aliens fear human history was not a single fight. It was the moment the galaxy realized that humanity's past was not a weakness. It was a weapon. The galaxy believed the war with humanity was over. The coalition fleets withdrew beyond mapped borders. Treaties were signed, borders were redrawn, and diplomats declared an age of caution. But peace did not mean forgetfulness. Humans returned to their worlds carrying scars that would not fade. Cities were rebuilt with alien alloys fused into human steel. Every structure became both shelter and reminder. Children learned mathematics alongside evacuation drills. History lessons no longer ended with Earth alone. They now included the day the stars came to kill them. Human archives grew vast and meticulous. Every battle was recorded from multiple perspectives. Not just victories, but failures, hesitations, and moments of terror. Humans did not erase their fear. They catalogued it, studied it, and taught it. Across the galaxy, alien observers watched nervously. Because no species had ever treated survival as a discipline before. Coalition analysts noticed something disturbing within decades. Human military production did not slow. It evolved. Weapons were redesigned not for conquest, but for deterrence through inevitability. Human fleets trained constantly, even in peacetime. Simulated invasions were run against imaginary enemies that grew more powerful every year. Humans prepared not for the last war, but for the worst possible one. Alien spies embedded within neutral systems sent uneasy reports. Humans were not expanding aggressively. They were fortifying memory. Museums doubled as command bunkers. Monuments concealed sensor arrays. History itself became infrastructure. Then came the incident no one had predicted. A fringe species, young and desperate, attacked a human colony. They believed the old stories were exaggerated. They thought the coalition had simply grown cautious. The attack lasted less than an hour. Human response fleets arrived with surgical precision. There was no grand speech, no threat. Only overwhelming force applied without hesitation. The attacking ships were disabled, not destroyed. Their crews captured alive. What followed terrified the galaxy more than annihilation would have. The prisoners were not tortured. They were educated. Human historians, soldiers, and survivors spoke to them. They showed recordings of burning cities, of civilians standing between soldiers and extinction, of commanders choosing sacrifice over surrender. The prisoners were forced to watch human history from beginning to end. Every war, every atrocity, every recovery. The message was clear without being spoken. This is who we are when threatened. When the prisoners were returned to their people, they carried more than fear. They carried understanding. Within a single cycle, the fringe species dismantled its military. Word spread faster than any broadcast. Do not test the humans. Alien philosophers struggled to redefine conflict theory. Previously, war was a contest of resources and numbers. Humanity shattered that model. They fought wars of endurance, wars of memory, wars where surrender was meaningless because resistance was cultural. Even alien species with superior technology reconsidered their doctrines. They began studying human conflicts dating back thousands of years, trying to understand how a species so divided could unify so completely under threat. The answer unsettled them. Humans never erased their past mistakes. They carried them forward as warnings. Years later, a former coalition admiral wrote a classified reflection. He admitted the true defeat came long before the final treaty. It happened when they realized humans did not fight for territory alone. They fought for narratives. To lose against humans was not just to lose a battle. It was to become a lesson. And humans ensured lessons were remembered. Across the stars, training academies introduced a new case study. Earth, the only known civilization whose history functioned as a weapon system. Human culture spread quietly, not through conquest, but through influence. Alien worlds adopted human emergency protocols. Human resilience literature became required reading in survival academies. Some species even adopted human memorial customs, honoring the dead as motivation rather than closure. This disturbed older empires because it changed how younger civilizations viewed loss. Death was no longer the end of resistance. It was fuel. Within the Sol system, humanity continued preparing. Not out of paranoia, but principle. They believed peace was something earned daily, not something declared once. New generations grew up hearing the same phrase whispered before sleep. Remember who we were when the stars came for us. Human children did not dream of war. They dreamed of being ready. Far beyond human space, an unknown signal was detected. Ancient, structured, and massive. Something older than the coalition. Older than recorded galactic history. The signal paused when it reached human listening posts. As if observing. Human command did not panic. They activated protocols written centuries earlier, based on worst-case scenarios imagined during the first invasion. Alien observers were stunned. Humans had prepared for enemies they had never met. The unknown signal changed course, skirting human territory entirely. No contact was made. No message sent. Yet the implication echoed across the galaxy. Something ancient had looked at humanity and chosen caution. That was when alien historians finally agreed on the truth. The battle that made aliens fear human history never truly ended. It continued every day humans remembered, prepared, and taught. It lived in archives, training halls, and whispered warnings. Humanity had transformed survival into identity, and identity into deterrence. As long as humans remembered who they were, The galaxy would remember too.